We just released 10 Florida Atala butterflies for the first time actually in Polk County, probably since around 1900. The butterflies were declared extinct in Florida in 1965, and that's because of the loss of their habitat. The caterpillars feed on only one plant in the state of Florida, and that's the Florida coontie, which is a native cycad. The cycad was harvested by the Timucua and the Calusa Indians early on in our history here, and they would make flour out of the roots of the plant. And they had to go through an extensive process to do that because the coontie is a poisonous plant. But they were able to make flour and get starch out of it. When the Seminole Indians moved to Florida, they taught the Seminoles how to do the very same thing. Later on, the white settlers came to Florida and discovered the same process and decided they were going to use that flour for animal crackers. So they harvested the coonties en masse, sometimes tons of them a day, and they used the starch to make the animal crackers. Well, that almost made the Florida coontie extinct. There were very few plants left by the 1920s, and they ceased collecting them in 1932. And later on, because the coontie was the food source for the Florida Atala caterpillars, the butterfly disappeared as well, and they thought it was extinct in 1965. A few of them showed up in the 70s down in the Florida Keys, and they've slowly made their way up the east coast of Florida, and there's a small colony of them in Pinellas County. The ones we just let go are the first ones that we know of that have been let go in Polk County, probably again since the turn of the century. In the 1990s, there was a push to plant the Florida coontie as a landscape plant all over the state of Florida. And it became kind of a fad. And the city of Lakeland planted them all over the downtown area. And again, that's the source of food for the Atala caterpillars. Hollis Garden is a certified butterfly garden with the North American Butterfly Association. And here in Hollis Garden, we have the Florida coontie. Plus, we're kind of surrounded by them because the whole downtown area has them. We also have all of the nectar plants for the butterflies themselves, like the macadamia nut tree, saw palmettos, Psychotria nervosa, or the Florida coffee, and lantana, which is another good food source for them. There's a weed that they like called Bidens, which we try not to have in the garden, but some of the people around here may have some of that in their yards. So we've got all the plants we need to keep the butterflies alive, and hopefully we can form a small colony of them in downtown Lakeland. And we're kind of doing this to replenish what used to be, and we hope to turn this into the North American Butterfly Association and let them know what we're doing here in Lakeland, Florida. The butterflies, or the cocoons, were donated to us by Metamorphosis Butterfly Company because they heard what we were trying to do. And we kept them in butterfly cages until the cocoons hatched, and then we just released them today. We had about 25 cocoons. 11 of them have come out so far. We've got a few more to go, but we had a big batch of them today, and we wanted to let them go today. An interesting thing about the butterfly itself is the colors of it. It has iridescent blue and black wings and a bright orange body. And that's a warning to predators like birds not to eat them, because when the caterpillars are feeding on the Florida coontie, the coontie is a poisonous plant. That's why the Indians had to go through so much trouble to get the flour out of them. And those toxins stay in the caterpillars and transfer into the butterflies when they metamorphose into them. So the butterflies are poisonous, and that's the warning for the birds, that bright orange belly.